Okay guys, just getting this adjusted. I am doing this on my phone. I had to charge it via the GoPro extension cord that I bought from Amazon earlier this year, as well as use my mom's Samsung charger, which she leaves at home because she charges her phone when she comes home from work and throughout the night before she goes to bed. But anyway, as the title says, as I check stuff here, hold on for a sec. Okay, making sure. But yeah, as the title says, I'm here to basically give my final thoughts and kind of ask some final questions that hopefully will be answered in the movie when it debuts officially here in the U.S. Tomorrow, mainly at midnight or a little after midnight on Netflix. Here in the U.S. and probably more than likely, even though you may have to look around, very limitedly in theaters across the U.S. as well. Because again, as I've mentioned before, you can't tell me that Hasbro won't want to do that, or Paramount or E1, which is part of Hasbro, which is basically is Hasbro, won't want to at least have a short theatrical release in some parts of the U.S. along with the debut on Netflix. As well as, Netflix themselves, you can't tell me they wouldn't like that as well. But anyway, going into this movie, pretty much like I said in the video yesterday, there's already been some leaks, that came out. One of them is a big one, which reveals, pretty much, I guess you could say, the Alicorn Twilight moment for this generation. That takes place in the movie, and you can pretty much guess who the character that goes through that is, since they've been pushing her, in that direction. So we know that's happening, and there's other leaks and everything, little short clips that have been spread throughout, including even streaming ones as well, because there's some people that put up the Russian version, the Russian language version of the film through, I guess, their version of Netflix or whatever streaming service they have it on. They put it online. People have, basically taken video of it on the screen, at the cinemas across the world where they've seen it. So a lot of leaks, a lot of leak footage, if you will, I should say, has been, basically, hold on for a sec. The word I'm trying to say here is a lot of leaked footage has been distributed basically over the past couple of days, if you will. Some basically, like I say, give you the Alicorn Twilight moment for this generation. Others show you what the ending's going to be like. All that kind of stuff. So, and, obviously, I don't know if this is bugging, if this is a issue that Hasbro and E1 and Netflix are hoping to address because, or they're just going to leave it be because, it's no secret that Netflix, through the Netflix Features YouTube channel, has been releasing like 1 to 3 minute clips of the film to kind of give you an idea of what you're in store for. But that's about it. They don't give much away. They just give you an idea of what you're going to see, what's going to take place and stuff. But that's it. So I don't know if they're going, like I said, if they're going to, do something, if they're going to say something to YouTube or to Daily Motion or Vimeo or whoever and say, hey, can you take these videos down because we don't want people to see what the movie's going to be about or see what, things are going to take place. We don't know if they've already done that or on the verge of doing that. Or they just don't care because, they basically, like I said, the Netflix Features YouTube channel is putting out these clips, so maybe they don't care and they'll realize, hey, maybe the more eyes that see these leaked footage that gets out there, maybe the more, eyes will be invested in watching the movie when it debuts. Not exactly at midnight, but a few minutes after midnight on Netflix, on the Netflix streaming service. And like I said, probably in very selective theaters starting tonight, if not tomorrow, and over the weekend. But with that said, looking at this movie as a whole, I could definitely feel that it captures as part of my final thoughts, that is, I definitely feel just by the clips that Netflix features put out, just by the, just by even the leaked footage that's been out there, I feel that this definitely captures the spirit of Friendship is Magic, and it is kind of basically an extension, if you know, a continuation actually, I should say, but takes place way in the future. So it's definitely it definitely has that feel. It has that vibe to it, if you will. I mean, when you look at the characters, obviously you could sense that there was inspiration taken from the main six and put into some of these characters, either individually or hybrided. So I like that. I like that idea. And overall, it definitely feels like it's something that is going to, do its best to carry on the legacy that Generation Four, Friendship is Magic, started back when it began in 2010 and concluded in 2019. But it's still felt to this day that you cannot tell me that there are people that are not watching MLP Friendship, MLP FIM on Netflix or on Discovery Family or on Hulu. You can't tell me they're not watching it to get prepared for this, or they're just still watching it because of the fact that they just want to go back and, relive some of the adventures and stories and, the characters that they love. So, again, I look at this and I feel like it's going to do its best to carry on that legacy, carry on that lore, or if you will, that was established in Friendship is Magic. So I feel it's got it's got that momentum, it's got that potential, based off the clips that the Netflix features has put out, as well as the MLP official YouTube page has put out, as well as with the leaks, unfortunately, that's been put out there. I feel it's got that potential to really, carry on the legacy, that basically Friendship is Magic established, which helped it become the phenomenon that it is. And maybe we're looking at the next phenomenon, as we speak. I think, and honestly, I think Dusty Cat, I think, said it best. I think Dusty Cat said it best during Everfree Northwest, even though I wasn't there. AC Race Best has put up a lot of the vlogs and panels that they all were part of. And he put up the Bronies React panel. And one of the questions that was asked was, about the fandom and how, basically the longevity and everything. And Dusty Cat, I think, answered it best by saying, take a look at the Star Trek fans. Take a look at, the Star Trek franchise overall and the fans themselves. That was going on for quite some time and still is going on as we speak. Like what was established from the original with with the next generation, or basically continued on with the next generation and so forth. And now you see what it's, morphed into today. I think Dusty Cat has a point by saying, that's basically not a point, but basically gave a great example of, hey, look at what Star Trek became, from a convention standpoint with, the original series, then the next generation, which was a continuation of the original series, but it's set in the future or years later, and now look what it's morphed into. And the same can be applied with any other franchises that have conventions, like, Transformers have, various conventions still out there. Even though BotCon's not around anymore, BotCon has been absorbed into HasCon, if you will, a Hasbro convention. But, but basically the legacy it left behind is still felt out there today. So, you got various Transformer cons out there. So, yeah, Dusty Cat, I think, said it best. You look at the legacy that, began with the original Star Trek, continued on with Next Generation and so forth, and morphed into what it is today. And that's a prime example of what you're probably seeing here with My Little Pony. That Friendship is Magic was basically like the original Star Trek, and now a new generation is like going to be, hopefully, the will basically be the equivalent of the Star Trek Next Generation that will continue on that legacy, will continue on that tradition, to continue on that lore, and become just as popular, and as much of a phenomenon as the original. So, and I think, again, like I said, it has the potential to do that. I feel it has the potential to do that. What it's really up to is not just the fans, but it's going to be up to the writers. It's going to be up to the writers and the quality, animation wise and story wise. Like I said, it's going to be up to the writers. What I'm trying to say is, it's going to be up to the writers, and it's going to be up to the artists, with the follow-up special in a couple of months, as well as the series next year, to really hopefully establish or reestablish and reignite and keep that tradition, keep that phenomenon, keep that lore alive, and that legacy alive that Friendship is Magic began, and hopefully will continue on with a new generation. So hopefully, that will happen. And again, I look at, like I said, the various clips that Netflix Features has put out, the unfortunate leaked footage that's been put out, and all the, talk and, publicity that it's getting. I feel this has the potential to continue the legacy and be just as big as Friendship is Magic. I really do. But now let's go on and ask some final questions, if you will. Let's ask some final questions. And one of those final questions I think I would like to know about, honestly, and I know I'm not alone in this. One of those final questions I think a lot of us would want to know about is, will the main six, the main seven, main eight, whatever you want to call them, will they be acknowledged besides just, the figures we see in Sunny's room? Will they be acknowledged? Will they be referenced? Will we get an idea of exactly, where the place is in history, as far as like, the legacy, the adventures and all that, are concerned? Will we find out, where that all, basically fits in as far as a new generation goes? Because as we found out, courtesy of Hasbro, the people at Hasbro, basically New Generation is going to continue the lore of Friendship is Magic, because it's set in the same world, but in the future. So again, the question that I'm hoping will get answered is, will they be referenced besides what we see figure-wise and cutie mark-wise and all that? Will they be referenced? And will we get an idea of exactly, where the status is as far as, being, legends, heroes, historical figures, whatever the case may be, what will the status be when it comes to that, as well as what their adventures were about? What will we get? What will we end up getting as an answer? The other question, I think the biggest one that fans will wonder is, will we see Twilight? Will Twilight be seen? Will she be acknowledged? Again, this does tie into the other question, but on its own, besides just tying in with my previous question, on its own, the question is, will we see Twilight, or will she be referenced, or will we find out what happened to her? Because, Friendship is Magic pretty much, put in the status quo of alicorns are immortal. Thus, Twilight becoming immortal herself when she became an alicorn, and then ascended to be the new ruler along with her friends of Equestria, of Canterlot and all that. So the big question, obviously, that fans will have is, where's Twilight? What has become of her? Did she give up her power, and did she, by doing so, pass away along with her friends so she could be with her friends? Did she follow in Celestia and Luna's footsteps and go to Sunny Shores or something like that? Or Seaside Shores, I should say. Not Sunny Shores, but Seaside Shores. Did she do that? What's her deal? Where does she fit in all this? The other question, hopefully we get an answer to that, is what I'm trying to say. The other question also is, we hear about and we see images of these three symbols that represent all the pony races. We have to wonder, did she come up with those? Did her friends come up with those? And, along with her, basically the main seven, main six, come up with those, the main eight, if you will. Did they come up with it? Did Starlight come up with it? Did Sunset come up with it? You know, who came up with those three symbols that represent the pony races and everything? That's something I think I would like to know the answer to, and hopefully maybe we will get the answer in the movie. Um, and you know, the other question is, you know, will we see any descendants? Of the main characters, of the main six. Will we see any descendants? Will we see any kind of connection? Maybe, you know, what will we get out of this? What will like? Will we see like a descendant, like a great grandchild of of some kind, like a great grand stallion or a great grand filly? You know, will we get something like that that has that their legacy, their family's history is tied to, let's say, Rainbow Dash, or Applejack, or Rarity, or Twilight, or Pinky, or Fluttershy, or Spike, or Starlight, or even Sunset? Will we get any bit of that kind of acknowledgement? Of seeing somebody that's part of their legacy, part of their bloodline. Will we see something like that? And hopefully maybe we'll get an answer. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But I would like to see, wouldn't you? I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice to see something like that. But yeah, again, the questions that I have is, will we get a reference or acknowledgement and find out what the status of, the main six, main seven is as far as this new world is concerned? Like, the status as like historical figures, their adventures being of legend, folklore, whatever the case may be, or have gotten into that point. Will we find out about Twilight? What's her status? Is she still around? Did she give up her power so she can be with her friends when they passed and she passed along with them? Is she, will she be acknowledged and referenced? 3, will we find out will we get an answer as to who came up with those crystal symbols representing the pony tribes or pony races? Will we find out Twilight came up with them, her friends along with her came up with them, maybe Sunset or Starlight? Will we find out an answer of any kind? And also, will we see any descendants, of the main characters from Friendship is Magic? Will we see a descendant of Rarity? Will we see a descendant of Rainbow Dash, of Pinky, of Applejack, of Fluttershy, of Twilight, of Spike? Will we see any of that? We'll have to obviously wait and see. But I would like to know. I would like to see. I would like to know. The connect. See if we're going to get any kind of connection. As they say, as they're promoting this to be with Generation 4, and if if that is true, which it looks like it's going to be, what is that connection? If it takes place in the same world and it involves the same lore and everything, what's the connection? Hopefully we'll get that answer. But again, like I said, my final thoughts are, just by looking at the clips that Netflix Features has put out, the trailer, the music video, or various music videos, the music clips they put out, even the leaked footage, I definitely feel like this has the potential to be huge. This has the potential to be, very popular. It's going to resonate very well with the fans and the established fan base as well, and even probably bring in some newer fans. And I feel it's going to do exactly what Star Trek, what Dusty Cat gave an example of, like I said, at Everfree Northwest. I think it's going to do exactly that. It's going to be the Star Trek Next Generation version of My Little Pony. I mean, it's ironic that the name of the movie is My Little Pony: A New Generation. So I think with that being a very kind of similarity in a sense in title, that, like I said, I think it's going to do exactly what New Generation of Star Trek did for the Star Trek franchise. It's going to continue the legacy and the lore and the popularity of the original Star Trek, I should say, maintained and brought to the forefront, brought to the mainstream and into pop culture. New Generation continued that and extended that for years to come, for more years to come. I think My Little Pony: A New Generation potentially has the opportunity to do that, depending on the animators and the story writers as far as like future stories are concerned, like with the follow-up holiday special, as well as the series next year. But what do you guys think? What are your final thoughts on My Little Pony: A New Generation, and what final questions do you hope to get answered, or do you have and you want to see get answered when the movie officially debuts a little after midnight tonight on Netflix's streaming service, as well as probably in some selected theaters around across the country throughout the weekend. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. Thank you for joining me in the live chat and commenting there if you did. Check out my BW Roses Discussion podcast at all your favorite audio podcast locations, except for Pandora. Still working on that. Check me out on Vimeo. That's Viemo. Check me out on Vimeo at BW Roses. That's where I place any videos that I can't, like PMVs or fan vids, that I can't place on here due to the fact that they might get a copyright, not a copyright strike, but copyrighted claim and block. So you could probably find them on there, like with the Speed Me Up, the original Speed Me Up fan vid I did for Sonic Sat AM. I've re-uploaded there, so you can check that out there. Also check out my Teespring store as well for merchandise and everything. I am still continuing to grow it as best I can. I'm trying to come up with some different ideas and everything here and there when I get an opportunity. As well as check me out on Patreon at BW Roses. $1 tier gets you a shout out and helps the site out, helps me out. $3 tier gets you a shout out, helps out the site, helps me out, and gets you exclusive content you can't get anywhere else except on Patreon and for a limited time on DeviantArt. So until next time, guys, that's all I wanted to do this live stream for. Let me know again what final questions do you have that you want to see get answered in this movie? What final thoughts do you have as well? And that's about it, guys. So until next time, God bless. Take care. I am out.